the market in the UK was gone. So all the overthinking about new markets had just completely been taken away from us. How do we stay product niche without obviously, losing the foothold that we've got? So we didn't overthink it, we had to do it.
Hello, I'm Andrew Fahey and welcome to Beyond Borders. This is the Global Expansion Podcast where we speak to business leaders who've taken their business globally. We speak to service providers who help us along that journey, and sometimes we just speak to really interesting people to understand what we can learn from them. And today on the podcast, I'm joined by Tom Wood, CEO of the Lignum Group. And we're going to be discussing Tom's journey of taking his recruitment business and supporting clients all over the world. Okay, Tom, so if we go back to 2019, pre-COVID, you were already thinking about global expansion for your business when many others hadn't done that. Just bring that alive for us a little bit.
So I suppose our route to market is building products and specialist contracting. So we already work with global manufacturers. So they were already taking us into new markets. So we'd started to put our feet on the ground in the Benelux and North America and the Middle East. But COVID then hit. Our UK presence was extremely volatile and we had to make moves quicker, hence where we are today.
Okay, so we're now in sort of COVID time, and lots of the sort of staffing and recruitment businesses, and not actually, to be fair, most businesses started looking at shrinking the cost base, retrenching, sort of narrowing strategies down. But you actually doubled down and looked at sort of really using that period of time to accelerate your global expansion. Just tell us that story, and as you're thinking about that, culturally as a CEO, that must have been really hard. Driving a new business strategy, going into new geographies and dealing with remote working all at the same time?
It certainly was, but we didn't have a choice. That COVID was that hard to navigate through. We had to, the market in the UK was gone. So all the overthinking about new markets had just completely been taken away from us. So what we did was, where are the high value markets? Where are the opportunities for us? How do we stay product niche? Without obviously, losing the foothold that we've got. So we didn't overthink it, we had to do it, which helped. Yeah. And then from a cultural standpoint, we hit a point where obviously everybody was working remotely. It was difficult to kind of put your arms around. But what we did then, the excitement of new market development, new product development, new opportunities, and high performance in terms of being integrated into the team as a must-have, brought the culture together. As soon as we brought those individuals back into the office, we developed our senior leadership team. We had new markets, new products and new opportunities. It just completely accelerated us.
So almost the fear and excitement of doing something new helped push back a little bit the sort of depression and distance that was caused by COVID.
Yeah, and I think, from an advice perspective, that we had no choice and we had to do it, and we avoided complicating it because everybody puts obstacles in front of themselves. And if you've got the opportunity to go global and your product's niche and you can see the value in it, then there's nothing really stopping you to do that.
I really like that sort of sentiment of don't overthink it. And I think if you look at the sort of recruitment and staffing market in general, the thing, and occasionally the sort of bad reputation sometimes, but I think the thing that they should get absolute credit for is tenacity, resilience, and the sort of never say die attitude that comes in that sector. So it's a great example of seeing that happen in the toughest time in our lifetimes anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that the one thing that we've got to do is follow where, I suppose, the opportunity is. Yeah. And for us, that was, US, Middle East, Europe. It certainly wasn't in the UK.
Yeah. So the recruitment sector sometimes can be really focused on short-term wins, the next placement, and you and the Lignum sort of really pride yourself on this business model switch to building global networks. Can you help people understand what that means a little bit more?
Yeah, I suppose that the way we want to have the differentiator in terms of our competitors is that we want to add value constantly. So our original move into global networks was through manufacturing. So they would say, they would have opportunities from a customer base in the UK, Europe, North America, Middle East. So we'd follow that, and then we'd follow the supply chain. And then obviously as we developed our manufacturer base, there was more opportunities to follow different supply chains and so on. But now we're in a position where we can link, I'll give you an example, glazing contractors into new products, or glazing contractors to develop a panelised system, or panelised contractors into standing seam or roofing systems. So we're following the products into the specialist contractors, but then helping specialist contractors link.
Creating like a talent ecosystem up and down that supply chain.
Absolutely. And then the talent then falls, back into our, I suppose, legacy networks, because, clients in the US or clients in Europe are looking at how, there's talent issues everywhere. We're in a extremely candidate-driven market, and high-value talent is not readily available.
Yeah.
So they're looking backwards. So our clients in the US, which we've expanded to, we're now helping them develop networks in the UK and Europe.
And was that quite a new concept when you first started taking this internationally?
Yeah, I think, recent news, the tariffs, for example, that's really helped drive that concept, because people are looking at their supply chains completely differently, and they've got to be more creative. And then the same from a talent perspective. So there's a lot of opportunity, and there's a lot of projects being won, but then you've got to deliver those projects. So if you can't get your hands on technical teams, what do? You've got to think differently.
Yeah.
So, and the outsource model, for some of our clients, they don't like the lack of control, but they like to have in-house individuals that are working for them and only them. Hence why linking the European market into the US or whatever it might be is really working for us.
So we were talking earlier on, you've got a senior candidate that you've placed in the UK, the UAE, and soon to be North America. How's that working? Lucky guy, but how are you enabling that?
So, our industry moves in cycles. So we're in a position where Toronto may be extremely busy. Toronto actually for us now was our biggest market 2 years ago, but now it's extremely quiet. It's coming back. New York 18 months ago, really quiet. Now we're extremely busy again in New York. The Middle East or the UK market, it just moves in cycles. So talent, and similar to what we've done as a business, you follow those cycles. So, dependent on visas, we can move talent around globally. And, that's allowing our clients to look at a global supply chain of talent, both from a contracting and a permanent perspective, constantly. And obviously we're following the revenue and the projects, and it's working quite well.
And so is that how you're helping your clients future-proof their sort of talent pipeline?
Well, yeah, absolutely, because it's very rare that we've got every single market bouncing at once. So they can tap into different markets and different products. But we're always pipelining. So always pipelining up and comers, always looking at new solutions for clients. We're always, there's a big increase right now in companies looking at overseas design companies. So we're constantly bringing the best talent in Europe, the UK. Italy's a big market for design, and clients in the US are looking at those opportunities.
And sometimes when people talk about this global fluid workforce, everybody's mind goes to digital nomads and people sat in cafes and on beaches with sort of Macs doing that. But you're actually talking about high-end, professionally skilled people that are moving across continents, deploying their talents in different countries at a time based on how that global cycle moves. Yeah,
absolutely. And there's companies particularly in our industry, that are global anyway. So they might have their design in, I use Italy as an example, they might be executing on the sites in New York or on the sites in the Middle East or whatever it might be, that they have no choice but to have global supply of talent. And what we're helping is, or where I think we add value, is somebody that's very kind of not regionalised, but focused on their, like for example in like the Canadian market, which is great, but there's a lack of talent. So then they're delivering in Canada. There's not enough talent in Canada. How do they execute? How do they get the people to execute? That's where we'd start bringing in the global talent supply.
So we like to try and give back a little bit in this podcast, and you've already given some top tips out actually for people that have been listening already. But what's the advice, what lessons learned, tips you'd give people that are sort of starting off on this, I think I can take my products and service global? What would that be?
Probably relating back to the overthinking. If you've got a product that you can add value with, you can go global. Clients need that product wherever you are. If it's in the US, Middle East, Europe, they need the product. And consistently add value. If you're looking at what you can add and decomplicating everything that people tell us is a hurdle, you can do it quickly as well.
It's really interesting that, because a lot of conversations we have on this podcast is cultures are so different, regulations are so different, tax regimes so different. But it's really interesting hearing you say, yeah, that's right. But the sort of fundamental truths are, don't overcomplicate it in your mind and work hard and add value to your customers. That's like a universal truth then, isn't it?
It's finding solutions for your customers and adding value to your customers, and why does it matter where you are? I suppose it's different if you're product providing.
Yeah.
You've got to manage logistics and shipping, and but from a service driven business, it is what it is.
And so sort of 2019, where this sort of started forming in your mind to do this, to now, how's your role changed as a CEO over that time?
Doing what we do for clients, and that's really helped me as I'm building this business, because obviously I build leadership teams for clients, is hiring operators that are better than me. So my senior team, from an operations point of view, we've brought in a recruitment director, an ops director, head of people, MD, head of growth, and my role now is guiding stakeholder management and key account management with our top clients. So going through the letting go phase of building a business and trying to avoid meddling and getting in the way and build to let go is the phase I'm going through now. But I suppose I'm getting that insight from placing executives into privately owned businesses every day as well.
Yeah, and I suppose it's not easy, is it?
No.
And I suppose you could probably take your own advice on that as well. Don't overthink it. Don't worry too much. That you're hiring good people. You've hired them for a reason. It's going to be okay.
It's absolutely, and the identity, because a lot of owners have their identity in the business, and then suddenly that shifts, and you've got to kind of bring people with you and let go and allow them space to operate. That's the biggest change I'm kind of struggling with, but getting better at.
Yeah. Excellent. So we've reached the stage of the podcast now. Quick fire, don't overthink stuff. Just throw a few things at you. So first country that you expanded into?
Toronto.
Favourite airport that you pass through on your global empire?
I like Miami, but I think when I go to Toronto, because that was like the first country we got into.
As you've been doing this sort of amazing journey, which market caught you off guard the most?
Dubai. Yeah, absolutely Dubai.
Last one thing that always works no matter the country.
I suppose because we're a service business is the value. So if you add value, people take you seriously. If you don't add value, they laugh you out the room. So wherever you are.
Yeah, universal.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, Tom, so thank you so much for sharing the story, your experiences, some great lessons learned in there. And I think, to recap, but there was to have the foresight to see that opportunity of global expansion when most other businesses are shrinking has set a bit of a blueprint now that many other recruitment organisations, and not just recruitment, many organisations are now looking to follow. It's been really interesting to hear that there are cultural differences and there are regulatory differences, but hard work and value and sort of great client experience ring true for there. For anybody that's sort of sat at home going, I really like the sound of that company. How did they find more out about you and Lignum? What was the best way they can contact you?
So if people want to reach out to my LinkedIn, which is Tom Wood at Lignum Group, or any other team, or online on the website.
Excellent. So thank you so much for your time, Tom. It's been really great speaking to you and some amazing lessons learned for the audience as well.
Thanks for having me.
That was a great episode. Thank you to Tom. And remember, everybody, until next time, keep pushing those businesses beyond borders.